Well, hello everybody, and welcome to the Solid Gold Studio for another channel update. Today, lots of good news for a change. Point one, all of the copyright issues on the channel have now been resolved. As you know from the last bulletin, the original three films that I posted long before the channel became a serious project had copyright music on it, and it was literally dragging the channel down. Although it had tens of thousands of views, it was just a dead log jam. So I decided to remove it, replace it with the new music, which I'm paying for, and Bob's Your Uncle. It's up there and already getting views. So I know it's a repeat. There was one or two slight changes in it, but by all means go back and look at it. If nothing else, going back 3 years, I look about 10 years younger, so God knows what's happening there. But anyway, they're up there, and I'm grateful for people viewing them again, even though it's a repeat. As of course some of you have already seen, last night the episode 2 of the new series looking at the Durham, Tyne and Wear coast went up. Of course, St Mary's Island and Whitley Bay. So I hope you enjoy that. Episode 3 is about halfway done. So that will be going up in the next 3 weeks. Episodes 4, 5 and 6, the scripts are done already. I'll just show you them. This is the folder, and they're big episodes. Of course, it's the area just on the south side of the Tyne. So there's South Shields, which has an episode all to itself. Whitburn, which has another episode all to itself. And then the other areas of Marsden and Seaburn and Roker, which takes us down to the mouth of the Wear. The south of that, between the Wear and the Tees, that's still in process, in the research process, but at least all of those scripts are ready. I'm just waiting for the half-term holiday to get out of the way, and then I'll be out. I'll be filming South Shields on Monday, if the weather stays fine. So that's all in process, and those will be released in the coming weeks. Every year, about this time of the year, people from America, Australia, all over the world are planning their trips to the UK, and Hadrian's Wall seems to be the most popular item in the north of England, until they discover the rest of it, of course. And I guess because the tree was cut down, that's prompted people to come again and look at the disaster site. So about this time of the year, that particular video gets literally thousands of views every single day. So I could quickly sort of came to the conclusion that it was worth doing the wall again, not with a narration this time, but with the drones. And a slight difference, I'm covering the wall this time east to west, which is the direction that most people walk it. And because I've now got the two drones, the bigger drone being able to cope with more difficult terrain and more difficult weather conditions, I've decided to do that. Now, I've already filmed part 1, so that's the reverse of the film I released previously. So it covers the eastern end of the wall, but I've also included some extra bits because, of course, as I described with my co-presenter Anna Gray, the wall itself went from Wallsend to Bowness-on-Solway, but the fortifications actually went down the coast a section. So in the east, the Roman fortifications began in South Shields with the fort of Arbea, and in the west, the mile castles and turrets and signal towers went down as far as a place called Moresby near Whitehaven. So those areas have been included in this, so that it's not just a repeat of what I did before. As I say, it's a little bit different, and of course seeing the wall from above is just dramatic. Also, what I'll be able to do in this series is include the forts, which I wasn't able to do last time because, of course, the National Trust and English Heritage don't let you film. They'll let you take pictures, but they won't let you video for some reason. That's another story for another day. Annoys me to death, and lots of other content creators as well. But of course, with the drones, I'll be able to do that, and I'm not contravening any laws because the National Trust and English Heritage don't own the sky. That is controlled by the Civil Aviation Authority. And as long as I'm not standing on National Trust land when I take off with the drone, there's nothing they can do to stop me. And what I also will do, of course, I won't be flying over the forts themselves. That would perhaps annoy them. So I'm not seeking to do that. But what you do is you fly around the perimeter. So you're not flying over their land or their space. You're flying around it. And the big drone that I bought at Christmas, of course, has a 70mm telephoto lens on it. So even though I could be a mile away, that telephoto lens will bring me right up close as though I was flying straight over the top. So that's really good. That was the whole purpose of buying it. It allows me to film things that previously I was prevented from doing. So they will be included in that as well, and I'm sure it's going to be a big hit on the channel, especially with these foreigners planning their trips over here, because countless people have written to me and say that they use my videos to plan their trips. And being able to see it from above, of course, is just all the merrier. So that's coming. Part 1 will be released next Friday, the 1st of March. So again, look out for that. As I say, it has no narration on it, but just like I did at the back end of last year, the flight films have subtitles on them, so at least you know where they are and what you're looking at. The Rivers project, I've sort of missed an important bit of news. Of course, we have the new computer finally. It's all up and running, and this is the new software. Now, it's slightly different in appearance, but pretty much works exactly the same. Why spend so much money on it? Yeah, I hear you ask. Well, simply that it will handle 4K. And from the end of, I'm going to complete the Durham project in HD to keep that the same. But from the start of the Rivers project, that's all going to be in 4K from now on. Just better quality. Now, I'm not sure how that will look on YouTube, but it should be sharper, the colours should be better, and the sound should be better. Straight away, this is the microphone that I'm using with the 4K gimbal camera, and I don't know whether you can see on the screen here, but the sound is immediately in stereo. With the broadcast camera, it's in mono. Now you hear it out of both sides of your TV, but it's the same sound just repeated, whereas this is actually stereophonic sound. So the sound's going to be better, and it means I'm not having to lug that big camera everywhere, which was quite restrictive, especially since my accident, because I just get out of breath and it hurts me back carrying all the equipment. So that's up and running. And with the Hadrian's Wall film, just going back to that, the separate parts, and there'll probably be 4 or maybe 5, I'm not quite sure yet, but that the parts of the film will be released in HD, but when I have filmed the whole wall and put the whole thing together, the whole film will be in 4K. And then, as I say, the Rivers project and everything I do after that, it'll be in 4K from now on. The Rivers project, I am really, really excited about it, because already from my research, each river is going to be a separate series, and that is just simply because of the amount of information. And I'm just going to read you here. This is the first river I'm going to do when I've finished the Durham, Tyne and Wear coastline. I'm going to finish on the mouth of the River Tees in just north of Middlesbrough. And for a change of scenery, I want to head back up to the other end along the borders. And there's a lot of people north of the border chomping on the bit, can't wait to have something more local to them. So it seems to make sense to go back up north, back up to the borders with Berwick, and start with the River Tweed. So the River Tweed, the source of the river, is 12 miles northeast of Moffat in the southern uplands of the Scottish borders. The next, and the idea is that I'll film the start of the river and then follow the river with the big drone down to Tweedsmuir, and then we will stop there and look at Tweedsmuir, fly a bit further down the river to Stobbo or Stobbo Castle, however it's pronounced, then a bit further on to Peebles, in Alethan after that, Galashiels, and of course nearby is the home of Sir Walter Scott, the historian, novelist, perhaps best known for his poetry. A Roman fort called Tremontium, Dryborough Abbey and the Wallace statue, William Wallace's statue, Roxburgh Castle, Fleurs Castle near Kelso, Kelso Abbey, Carham Castle, Coldstream, Twisel Castle, Norham Castle, and finally into Berwick. So that's 6 castles just on that river alone, plus all the towns and settlements. And what I'm going to be looking at is how that river has affected those settlements, and why that river was so important. Of course, as you'll know now from watching my stuff, back in the medieval period and before, the rivers were the main highways. The England was heavily forested, and travelling overland was just impossible. And even if you managed that, it was extremely dangerous. So the rivers were the main highways, and everything that happened in medieval England happened on the banks of the rivers. So this is why each river is going to be a separate series. Now, whether I get enough time at the end of the year to, after the Tweed, to begin with the next river, which I think is the River Aln, if I'm not mistaken, and then, as I say, working my way south. So this rivers project is going to be a 3 to 5 year project in my estimation, and it's going to be really exciting because it's something different to what I've done so far. Now, as you may recall, I requested the need for a companion and a 4-wheel drive vehicle. So far, I've had zero response to that. No one has volunteered to come forward and be a travel companion. Certainly not on YouTube. What I then did was I put out a request on a local forum called Nextdoor. I don't know whether you have one in your region, but we have one here in Newcastle called Nextdoor. And I put a request out on there, the same, and I had about 6 to 8 people respond to it, but then nobody followed that up when I sort of wanted to meet in person, apart from one. So I've got one guy on board, and I'm really pleased to have him. He's an experienced walker, and fit and able, and very keen to join me. So he will be there at the beginning of the River Tweed project. And that is simply, and I'm just repeating myself here, the source of these rivers are really remote. If you go onto Google Maps and look at the source of the River Tweed up in the southern uplands, I mean, these are serious hills. Now, the Tweed is perhaps the easiest river to film because the source of the River Tweed is literally 200 yards off the side of the road. Therefore it's going to be quite easy. But when you get to the source of the River Tyne, the Tyne, of course, has 2 rivers feeding into the beginning of the river. So there's the North Tyne and the South Tyne. They are in really, really remote locations, miles from the side of any road. Coming back to the request for a 4-wheel drive vehicle, it may be that is a dead duck. And the reason for saying that is, when I looked on Google Maps, although there is a track to somewhere near the source of the river, it looks as though the roadway, the track or whatever, is barriered off. And that means it's probably the land belonging to the Northumberland National Parks, and they don't particularly want vehicles driving across there. So that track is purely for their use, and I guess emergency vehicles if ever there was a heathland fire or something like that. But it doesn't look, from what I can see online, that it's an open roadway that I could drive a vehicle along anyway. So it may be that the need for a vehicle isn't necessary, and that what I'm going to have to do is get as close as I can with my vehicle, and then just fly the big drone and hope, because it will fly up to 12 miles as long as I have a clear signal between me and the drone. So it may be that I can just find the source of the river with the drone and film it from above. But then again, I've got a problem in that Northumberland is the practice zone for the RAF, and a lot of the airspace is restricted because, of course, at the moment they're training the Ukrainians to fly F-16s, and they are flying literally feet off the top of the hills. Because bear in mind, we're 2,000 feet up on the moorlands of Northumberland, and these jets are flying literally no more than 100 feet off the top of the heather, which is where I would be with me drone. So as I say, I'll cross that bridge when I come to it. One of my subscribers and very loyal followers, Gordon, you'll know who you are when you're watching, suggested that I could look for a company, which I've already done. I've got a contact email for this particular company, and it's the new, I think they're called Ineos. They took over the old Land Rover Defender and they've revamped it into this very mean cross-country vehicle. And the contact that I followed up seems to think that this particular company would be very, very keen in getting involved, and they may even be interested in sponsoring the channel. So I will be following that up. But like I say, it's not a burning issue at the moment, because the Tweed I can do from the side of the road. And then, of course, as soon as you get into civilization, it's fairly easy and no different to what I'm doing now. So it could be that the four-wheel drive vehicle I don't need till next year. That's basically what I'm saying. But I will be following up that lead for the this Ineos off-road vehicle. Again, I will say, if there's anybody watching this now who wants to be a companion, now I don't need a film expert, somebody that can handle a camera or anything else. That's all my job. All I need is a person to go with me for a day. It's a free day out, and literally just be there in case something goes wrong. Because like I say, I'm 69 this year. I'm not in 100% health myself, and there's been one or two occasions where something's gone wrong and I'm in the middle of nowhere with no mobile phone connection, and it would just be reassuring, if nothing else, to have someone by my side. So you don't have to be an expert. You just have to be at least as fit as me, or fitter, and prepared to sort of spend a day with me whilst I do what I do, talking to camera, flying the drone, and then come home again. So if anyone's watching that fancies a day out, fancies spending a day with me, then please get in touch. All the contact details are on the channel. As I say, get in touch and let me know. Finally, before I go, I just want to thank the people who have donated to the channel. And those people are Keith Latty, Gordon and Linda Purvis, Michael Silgram for his very, very generous donation. Again, one of my long-standing supporters, Harry Linsdell. Thank you, Harry. Frank Harrison and Andrew Beach. Thank you to all of you for donating to the channel. But whether you can, obviously, if you can donate yourself, please do so. It's very gratefully received. It all goes to help fund the making of these programs. But if you can't donate, support the channel in the usual ways, giving the likes, watching the whole video through. That helps enormously. People that watch for 10 minutes and then switch off, that doesn't help, you know, earning the ad revenue and everything else. So watching the films all the way through really helps. Sharing the links with your friends, getting more people to subscribe, all of that helps. And I'm eternally grateful for all of that support. Subscriber numbers are up to about 2,300 now, so you know, reaching 3,000 subscribers this year would be a nice target. But as I say, all of you out there watching, all of your support is gratefully received, and a big thank you for all of that. So that's all of the good news to tell you this time. Of course, I will see you next Friday on the Hadrian's Wall bit. But until then, I wish you all the very best of health. Goodbye from Solid Gold Studios, and I'll see you all again very soon. Bye for now.